Hello. My name is BigScared. I am a queer variety caster here on Twitch, and I'm so excited to showcase these potential options for you peeps. Can you give me an update on the incentives, please?
Yes, of course. Currently, the Choose the Perspective bid war first person is in the lead by a little under $10. So if you want third person, now is the time to do it. And that challenge for the Ethan VTuber cosplay, it is currently $2,900. And of course, we need $3,500. What can we do here?
Well, since we are so close to meeting that costume incentive, I am more than comfortable extending that a little bit into the run. So gamers, chatters, donors, potential donors, please consider. You will have until we reach the swamp to get there.
Wait, so you're saying people still have time to get in?
Yes.
For your amazing,
yes.
the cosplay for your VTuber model that you yourself made?
Yes, I made it myself. And so if you want me and Ethan to be twinning, it's not too late. We can get that before the end of the run. We can load that up in one of our elevators. So you've got about 45 minutes into the run to make that happen. But unfortunately, the perspective incentive does end at the start of the run. As you can see, I have it loaded up here. So without further ado, let's call that. It's first person?
Third person. Third person.
Third person wins?
Third person wins. Thank you so much,
Catwick.
With that $125
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to show this off. Thank you so much for contributing towards the bid war here and also contributing towards Malala Fund. While we sort of get this run underway, I just want to say thank you so much. Time starts when I click in, and then we'll do our introductions while we're doing our walk-in sequence. So time will start in 3, 2, 1, let's jam. So I'm BigScared. I've already introduced myself. You might know me from earlier in the marathon. I'm being joined today by a very good friend of mine. Astrid, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am astridthehorrorgirl. I play horror games. I speedrun horror games. And even though I speedrun all kinds of different horror games, I've never done a Resident Evil game, though I am a huge fan of the series, but also I am a huge fan of BigScared and Resident Evil Village. I have seen this played several times, and I religiously watch BigScared run it. So I'm very excited. You have no idea how happy BigScared is that this is in third person right now, because this is the category that not only does BigScared have the world record in currently.
It's true, I do.
But also, you get to see Ethan's jelly legs, which is very exciting.
Yes. So folks who have played this game before know that its native perspective is first person, which means that it is a little bit faster of a speed run in first person. But the reason why that's the case is because in third person, you are able to see Ethan and also appreciate the beautiful animations of his model, which also includes some choice stumbling animation that we'll see at several points throughout the run. And I will laugh every time. So please look forward to that. Right now, in the story, the TLDR, what you need to know is that Chris Redfield has come and he has taken our baby. And we don't know why, but we are on our way to save her. We're gonna go get Rose, no matter the cost. Unfortunately,
did
this
anything else happen?
Well,
just
yeah,
cost us.
Chris Redfield may or may not have murdered our wife in cold blood, but that
is true.
You know.
Yeah.
That's
we'll
an
get
afterthought for Ethan.
That is an afterthought for me as well. We'll get into the details of the implications of Mia's passing as the story progresses, because there is so much to unpack there. But our primary objective right now is to save Rose, because she's alive and well and savable. And so we are making our way downtown into the village through the snow at a very
uphill both ways.
Yeah, uphill both ways pace. While we do this, are there anything you'd like to share with the chat, peeps?
Well, I have a few people who are very excited for jelly legs, like Kamikaze Granny, $25, just to say, jelly legs.
Jelly legs.
Jelly legs. We also have a $125 donation from Patwick, who says, I never get tired of seeing Resident Evil at these events. Best of luck to all the runners on the remaining runs, and thanks for the awesome event this week.
Thank you. We got time for a couple more.
I was just about to give you an update. We have hit $3,000 of that $3,500 incentive, challenge for your Big Scared Ethan VTuber cosplay. Yeah,
So
I know.
exciting.
You made it. You made it. And I really want everyone to see it. And we are less than $500 away from that. And I know we can hit it before Swamp.
Oh, yeah.
How long about into
500
the run
is
is
so
that?
little. We've got a good 40, 45 minutes before the swamp happens. We have to get through all of Castle Dimitrescu and the dollhouse. And then also some walking around in the village, too. So, as you know, we've got so much time, and I believe in y'all.
That's right. You have plenty of time, everyone. So get those donations in. We are also excuse me. I'm so
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to also give an update on the Hat Time Unlock, the bonus game there. We need $93,000, and we are just over 87,000. So we are so close to that as well.
Hat in Time also is technically a horror game because of one specific part of that game. So I appreciate Hat in Time and make that incentive happen. We got this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all those updates. For anyone that played Resident Evil 7, you might notice that we are doing a little bit of obtuse trigger hunting to cue the parts of the game that we need to advance here. So our first trigger that we needed to find was our little rodent friend in that closet. Our next trigger that we need to find is a NPC, a particular villager. They are in their house. We are going to enter without their consent. Better or worse. But that's how we're going to progress forward and make our way onward to the most important part of the game, which is, of course, Castle Dimitrescu. If you are hyped for Lady D, please, please drop those emotes in chat. I would love to see them.
Drop those emotes, Ethan Winters.
Oh.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
So let's get those donations in, and I'll do some more impressions.
What happened?
Yeah. Also, I do a pretty mean impression of Angie. So if there are folks that would like to challenge me as well, I would love to see those donos come in.
Do you want to hear my Ethan impression?
Yes, please.
Rose! Where's my baby? Ow, my hand hurts.
Ow, my hand hurts. Oh, that's perfect.
Ow. Rose. Once again, donate for more impressions.
Yes, beautiful impressions of beautiful Ethan, who we can see a glimpse of his face here. Now, you might be wondering, will we ever see Ethan's face? The short answer is no. The longer answer is we get nice little glimpse of his cheek. We get a silhouette of his nose. We can see his luscious eyebrows. And most importantly, we get to see the way he reacts to stuff.
Very true.
None of that needs to be telegraphed on his face for it to be effective.
Right
And
now,
right now,
I got you. Big Scared is basically doing a mix of movement, defense, just waiting for a certain moment where Ethan says a particular line, where Ethan just goes, "There's no end to them." At that point, then it's time to hide and wait for the large enemy to spawn, and then it's just a matter of defending yourself and waiting for one of the progression cues to happen, which is either an axe to the back or watching our adventuring career end by taking an arrow to the knee.
It's true. And for those of you who are curious, I am being memed on by the camera right now. I don't know what's up with my controller, but it really wants me to look up. So not only are we doing some pretty specific shots here to try and eliminate the enemies quickly. We're doing it while being actively sabotaged.
There is, unfortunately, a little bit of RNG to this section. Not a lot, but enough to kind of be like, well, I was hoping this run would go better kind of amount. Sometimes you have to do several loops through this just to try to activate what needs to activate.
There's the voice line we're looking for.
Yep.
At which point I'm going to run inside and drop down into the basement. Oh, I got smacked. That's fun. But that will hopefully speed up the end of this sequence. Ethan needs to have certain types of interactions. So part of them is doing damage, part of them is simply reacting. Taking damage can sometimes speed this up. It's not super reliable, and on hard difficulties like Village of Shadows, it makes it very risky. But right now I'm waiting for Big Boy. I'm gonna go in here, see if I hear him. Nope. Sir, please. Please! Summon your friend. While we wait for Big Boy, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Let me tell Big Boy, Big Chat, Big Gaming. We are actually $300 away from that Ethan cosplay. $300 away. We are so close. So let me tell you a donation we got here from Crimson Decoded for $75. Taking care of 10% of that's $500 for the Ethan cosplay. Gotta also put some towards Super Mario Odyssey. Let's get this cosplay ASAP, and then we can seek world peace. And that is, of course, referencing the Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to world peace mode. Goal is $6,000, and we are currently at $3,300.
Phenomenal. So as you can see, we've got a very grumpy friend out here. I'm gonna go say hi. Where are you? Where are you? There you are! Alright, he's down. At this point, it is more or less RNG to determine when we progress. As Astrid said earlier, I'm hoping that I will get that arrow to the knee. It's a slightly faster animation than getting stabbed in the back. And you do not necessarily need any enemies in the arena for that to happen. You simply need to be in an open area and usually it's better if you are emerging into that area. So you'll see me like duck into this basement a lot. You'll see me pop in and out of buildings, go undercover like this little lip here. I'm simply trying to get one of these arrows to hit me. And now you might be asking yourself, why doesn't Big just stop and let the arrows hit them? It's not faster to do that. They are not actually aiming at you. They're just sort of environmental storytelling. So there it is. That's our cue, and we are onward to the actual run. Thank you for enduring that siege with me.
Gotta go find Rose.
I think
we gotta go find her.
It's worth pointing out the parallels that this game has with Resident Evil 4 for that similar beginning, because you have the opening shot of like, what is this village? What's going on? There's a cult-like mentality here. And also, it has a similar entrance with a whole sort of survive in the village area attacked by seemingly endless numbers of enemies until, for some reason, it just ends. And it has so many like sort of like callbacks to that area and back to Resident Evil 4. And it's almost like poetic, the fact that this came out. And one of the things that came out immediately after that Capcom did was the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah, where are they going? Bingo?
It's a good question. It's worth asking.
It's a good question. We can ponder it in this living room for a moment. Much like our beautiful incentives, could you please give us an update, peeps?
I would love to give you an update. All right, we've got $25 from Karen, who says, getting hype for more impressions, please and thank you. This way. It's me, that guy. I can't remember his name. $3,500, and we're currently at 32.24. Mother, please donate.
Oh, I love these donations.
I love these donations, Mother.
Peebs, you are fantastic. Thank you.
God, it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're wonderful.
So you might notice right now, we are inside of a house doing driving. Please do not drive inside your garage. It leads to crashes like this. It is a safety hazard. Be responsible. Be a good driver. Don't drive in your garage. On that note, everyone, please put an F in chat for our friend here, Elena. She didn't make it.
F.
I don't get it.
But the good news is we are now out of this house. We have a screwdriver, which is the entire reason we went inside, because we need to get into this little cupboard and get a plate.
Which is the most survival horror thing of all time. Just as a fan of survival horror, I've played this genre my whole life. The amount of things that you will do to put yourself into life-threatening situations for the sole purpose of grabbing something like a screwdriver or something even less valuable, like, say, like a shoelace, is phenomenal. I love survival horror games.
Like, is it game over if you just break it open? Come on.
No,
I
crazy.
wish. Listen, if there is a way to break open that case early, I would love to hear about it.
The speedrunning community of Resident Evil Village would love to hear about it.
Listen, I'm sure there's someone out here binding Crouch to the mouse wheel right now, trying to run into that case hard enough to grab it.
Hey, add that to a donation. Let us know.
Nothing but blood.
Yeah, it's a good time. So we haven't really talked about my build. What I'm using right now is a New Game Plus build involving the Stake Magnum, fully loaded out, the rocket pistol, again, fully loaded out, and for one specific boss fight, I will be using one flashbang. Otherwise, that's it. Some fun sort of weapon information here. There is a lightsaber in this game, and there is a speedrun category known as Jedi Percent, where Ethan is confined to using only the lightsaber for the entire run. It is, shout out to everyone that can do that run. It's not me.
And shout outs to us being exactly $200 away.
Let's go!
Lady
Shout out to
D.
chat.
Shout out to chat, and specifically, I mean everybody, but shout out to Lady D, who donated $26 and says, No, we can't let this cosplay incentive go unfulfilled, can we? Be good and donate for me, won't you?
Here in Castle Domitresque, we dress as twinsies.
Except on Thursdays.
I also want to point out, just for BigScared's loadout on New Game Plus, this is after your 12th run of the game.
Yeah, it
and
took
you're
me a long time to get there.
300 hours in, and just for speedrunners, and especially for you, just the dedication that you put into going in for, I'm looking for the best possible sort of loadout that I can for New Game Plus. The dedication there is wonderful.
I appreciate that. It takes a lot of work sometimes to really get the resources you need to upgrade all the weapons. Now, I will say, full transparency, I did that as a meme, but also it takes a while to get there. If you don't realize that the Stake Magnum has a damage output of 2,500 compared to the second most powerful weapon, which is the rocket pistol, that only has a 500 damage output, you might not know to invest in that weapon immediately. So this is my PSA. If you plan to pick this game up and you want to do New Game Plus, start early, start with the Stake Magnum. Don't waste your time with the Wolfsbane unless you have to. It's a beautiful gun. It looks like a Hunt Showdown gun, but it is not the most powerful one in the game.
Why would you bring up Hunt Showdown as though, I'm not, right here, right next to you, right now?
Listen, you're the one that made the astute observation that it looked like one of those skins.
Very well.
Now, another thing I want to point out here is if you've played Resident Evil 7, maybe you remember the fact that that game did not allow you to skip any cutscenes except for one that was like short. This game, you can skip most of the cutscenes except for the ones which demonstrate Ethan's incredible powers. We're getting a peek at that right now. Ethan is incredibly durable, and he has regenerative abilities so long as he has constant access to this juice. So, my second PSA, stay hydrated, drink your juice.
Do not pour the juice on your hands like Ethan.
Yum.
That is not
Here's
the way
his
to
jelly
do it.
legs. Jelly legs, this is what you donated for.
This is what
So
Domestic
floppy.
Canadian donated for. They said jelly legs.
He's so floppy. Now, people ask me, why third person? It brings me joy.
Why not?
It brings me so much joy every time to be like, yes, there is a newborn giraffe in my game, and I feel seen right now, because that's how coordinated I would be if I were in this situation.
I'd be so scared.
But since we're here in Lady D's castle, we have a couple key objectives. You might have noticed that I picked up a maroon eye ring. We're going to be taking that upstairs to use on a door. Surprise, surprise. But first, we're going to unlock this one for later. Once we get through the door upstairs, we're going to be chased. So if you are squeamish, if you are faint of heart, if you simply like a beautiful lady, this is a moment for you to either pay attention or not.
And this is also this is Lady D. This is also the moment I need to tell you that your incentive for your beautiful VTuber model has been met.
Let's go.
Thanks to the generous donations of our chat.
Let's
Ethan
go,
Winters.
chat.
Let's go. And don't forget, whether or not you contributed towards the cosplay incentive, whether or not you contributed towards third person, all of those donations do benefit Malala Fund, and they all go towards our bonus game for later on today. So thank you so, so much for not only supporting my run, but all the other runs here and the phenomenal work of all of us here at Frame Fatales. So thank
Now
you, thank
hang
you,
on
thank
a
you.
minute, Big Scared. This is my hosting shift.
Listen, I love you.
What they said. I love you too. Nabashugs donated $200 and says, "Twinsies." That was of course for their
Twinsies.
outfits back then.
Just a quick update on that. We will be swapping to the Ethan cosplay when we get to the rooftops and hit our first elevator. So thank you so much. That will be coming up very, very soon. Oh, I missed, but that's okay. You might notice that I am not aiming my gun. You might say, why? The quick and easy answer here is that on casual difficulty, which is what you do for the New Game Plus run because it's, easier and faster, Ethan has an auto-target feature where he targets parts of the enemies that are not necessarily the most effective. Oh, by the way, that's the boss fight. That's it right there.
It's a very difficult boss fight, and never mind.
Yeah. This is why you upgrade the Stake Magnum. It makes the Demetress daughters just so fast. In a casual playthrough, that particular fight might take you 10 minutes. But here, just one shot, and then we shoot her again while she's crystallizing to speed up the process of her body breaking down. I know that sounds cruel, but she's literally made of flies, and that body isn't even real. So
She's bugging.
don't feel bad.
It's worth pointing out that all the daughter fights will go that way, but with just one extra step and then 2 extra steps.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Just the next one, there will be a lever to pull, and then you get to shoot. And then in the third fight, there will be a bookshelf to push, and then a wall to shoot, and then you can shoot the daughter. And that is what the boss fights there are reduced to when you have this pistol.
Now, you might notice that one of the daughters blocked me there, and I did shoot her. The reason why she didn't die immediately like the last one that I shot was because she was not cold enough. From the lore standpoint, the daughters are composed of a flock of flies. I know that's not the word, that's swarming, but they don't like the cold. And so they become less stable, they become more vulnerable, and they are significantly much more prone to dying when they are cold. And so that first room had a broken window. The second room will have a skylight. And the third room, we will literally blast a hole in the wall. What I'm doing now is a very complicated puzzle that in a casual playthrough might actually throw you off for quite some bit of time. It's a poetry prompt talking about, like, what do the maidens do and what do the herders do? All you got to do is make them look at each other. And then you can go down in this hole.
I feel like an opportunity rises here for Peeps to do another Ethan impression concerning hands.
Absolutely.
Because
you mean Al?
if there's two things that Ethan is known for with his character, it's Rose and his hands.
Yes.
I'm ready.
This is a good chance. Go for it.
Okay, well, we have $25 from Kurt Mack, who says, "Okay, I think I figured out that plate. All you have to do is pick up a bomb just before it explodes, then let its expanded hitbox push you through the bars of the cage, right? To get the figurine in the lockbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, they figured it out."
And then you hear the beautiful sound.
Sorry about that. I'm not good at Mario song impressions. I'm good at Resident Evil character impressions.
Of course.
We have $25 from Rashawn Dragoness, who says, "So floppy, look at those legs."
We got time for one more.
All right. $250 from Kept in Stitches, saying, "Education is the first step to world peace, right?" You are so correct there.
That's so correct. We did mention that Ethan is well known for his hands. Currently, he possesses one of them. I gotta go pick up the other one, but first we gotta make sure Lady D gets out of the way. Because as much as I love her, as much as we adore her, she commands and demands a lot of respect and attention. And sometimes that's not always conducive for a speed run. I will give you as best of a look at her as I can.
How dare you, Ethan Winters?
He's so floppy. He's so floppy.
You floppy boy, man thing.
I gotta apologize with my life. I'm running. So that was not optimal, but we do get to showcase the phenomenal animation work that the dev team put in after the game had already been released to add these extra animations. Floppy Ethan brings me great joy, but it's not the only one. I'll point out the others as we go. And you might notice Ethan here is automatically regenerating after all those love bites from Lady D. And he will demonstrate his phenomenal power yet again with an unskippable cutscene.
Now just remember, everyone, if you have some Gatorade and you lose your hand, if you just pour it on there, you just seal it, make sure it sticks, and I think you're good.
Yes, that message has been approved by Ethan Winters.
Yes.
Yeah, that is 100% lore-appropriate medical advice. That is sound in this universe. I would not recommend it in the real world, though.
Now, when will we be swapping models?
When we get to the rooftop elevator.
Rooftop elevator, okay.
Yes. So it's coming up right after we do this bell puzzle. We're gonna do a little bit of running around in here. And then we will have a nice long elevator after a sequence with some gargoyles where we will be adding our cosplay. That was a nice short elevator. So I wanted to make sure that we double dip and also do the speed run things. Perfect piano!
Perfect piano!
Beautifully composed. That was a wonderful composition that you had right there.
Thank you, thank you. For those of you who are familiar with survival horror in general and Resident Evil in specifics, pianos are a staple. You might remember that Chris cannot read sheet music, but Jill knows Moonlight Sonata. Rebecca knows how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, while Billy knows how to play Tchaikovsky. And Jake is a phenomenal pianist as well. Ethan, no exception here as a protagonist. Fully versed. We're going to stop and make sure she comes out here so that way she doesn't come back up the stairs behind me. And we're coming into our second boss fight with the daughters. This is our skylight fight. If you blink too fast, you will miss it because we're just going to run over here. We're going to hit this lever, and we're going to shoot her one time. And as she crystallizes, you shoot her the second she stops moving, so that way it dispels the bugs behind you. Now you might notice that I'm grabbing some masks. These are to advance to our final boss fight of this area, which will unfortunately be Lady Dimitrescu. I want to brace you now because her loss will be a monumental moment. But before we get there, we have to make sure that we fight her third daughter. Oop, wrong key. Which is going to be behind this door. Now, we are locked in this room, which means we have to get a puzzle piece, which is the animal head on the wall. But we're being confronted, so we're just going to blast a hole here. And then we're going to let Ethan auto-target, shoot her in the butt, and then leave.
It's good that you're not playing this game during frost fatales, huh?
Yeah, they would be so vulnerable. While we do this, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience?
I was just about to jump in and tell you that we are currently sitting at $88,300 for that unlock a hat in time bonus game milestone. We need $93,000. Come on, everyone. Get your Gatorade. I was trying to tie it in, but I'm failing miserably.
Listen, you don't got to be thirsty for more content. All you got to do is hit that incentive.
Exactly, and guess what?
True.
You don't have to mark it as an incentive to unlock a hat in time to hit that 93,000. But if you want to switch the Super Mario Odyssey run, if you want to upgrade it to World Peace, please make sure you select the incentive button on the donate page. We need $6,000. We are currently sitting at $37.46. So we are making excellent headway.
We are well on our way. And we are approaching the rooftops. So once we are done running around up here, you will get to see the cosplay. Thank you again for that. Additionally, up on these rooftops is the very last mask that we'll need, which means we are rapidly approaching the end of Lady D's area. Lady D is one of 4 lords of the region. They all serve a dominant figure known as Mother Miranda. At this point in the story, it's a little unclear what's going on with her, whether she is just a spiritual leader, some sort of demigod, etc. We will absolutely get the answer to that question by the end of this run, and you don't even need to watch the cutscenes to find out. But Lady D has a few compatriots, and we will get to know them as well as the run progresses.
That's what's interesting about this game and how it, much more so than Resident Evil 7, but this game really just kind of embodies a lot of what Resident Evil has done before. It almost like it borrows so much from 7, continuing that, going forward with that, and reminding us that this is a direction for Resident Evil we're going in with its atmosphere and whatnot. But also, it's just like the older Resident Evils. Mysterious antagonist. Who is the real big bad? Who is it that they're talking about? Think Resident Evil 4 and Lord Salazar. Think like Resident Evil 5 and their mention of what are Ouroboros. All sorts of things. And Ethan is sort of like, at this point, just embodying all these different things that kind of are Resident Evil protagonists. He's doing all the things that they had to do in these little shorter spans against all these different lords. He's a really, really interesting protagonist, and his adventure is such a fascinating one.
I think you bring up a really interesting point here. I'm going to take this hit just that way we can get out the door faster. From a lore standpoint, Ethan being an amalgam of all the protagonists makes absolute sense. And I'm going to start talking spoilers here. So if you don't know the story, you're going to get the hookup here. when we're thinking about like Resident Evil, they are stories of like bioterror and infection, right? And so we have like T virus, we have Ouroboros, we have T phobos, we have C virus, we have all of these things. And in 7, they introduced the mutamycete. This game really runs with that idea. And Ethan, as a sort of everyman, makes sense because the mutamycete has a memory of everyone that it's encountered. And so, as a sort of prevalent thing that exists in the canon now, it can and does remember things. And that informs the way Ethan sort of progresses through the story. As you know here, I have not mentioned that Lady D looks very, very different. Very different. She has turned into a Dark Souls boss, and we are simply shooting her in the butt over and over until she learns to fly. I want her to get out of my nest because I'm a good father.
I'm a good father. Ow, my Rose.
She's going to take us to Anna Orlando here in a second. And once we take flight, feel free to give us any announcements you've got, Peebs.
I can't wait.
Here we go.
We have $25 from Thrill House, who says, what better way to wind down the week than by going face-to-face with honorary frame fatale, Lady Dimitrescu. Thank you for an amazing week, and best of luck, BigScared!
Thank you, thank you. So while we're up here in the watchtower, Lady D's got the zoomies. She's running around, she's flying around. She'll drop down. The last phase of her fight is very simple. You can kite her just by moving left and right. With the Stake Magnum on casual, it's 3-shot. And that's it. That's all we'll see of her.
Everyone is cursed.
But we will get more jelly legs.
You do get more jelly legs, it's true. People were really disappointed, I think, when the game came out, thinking, oh, Lady Dimitrescu gonna be this big antagonist. Can't wait to see her throughout this entire game. And then end of chapter 1, that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
First 30-ish minutes of the run every time. It's 07 in chat. Pay your respects to the big lady that brought us all here today. But unfortunately, she is not necessarily the most interesting character, at least in my opinion. I love her dearly, but I am fascinated by some of these other lords that get less attention. We're about to get some key items to head over to our next lord's house. Our next lord is Donna Beneviento. I want to highlight her specifically because she's an interesting character that will bring out the interior state of Ethan here. You might know him as a silent protagonist if you played 7, and maybe you notice that he talks a lot more in this game, but he doesn't necessarily say anything informative of how he thinks. He says a lot of things that lead you in directions like, I gotta do this. Is this thing? Is this quest item I need? Is this a butterfly? And so the Dollhouse segment manifests a lot of his deepest fears and a lot of his unspoken sort of biases and concerns. So pay attention as we approach that segment, what you might notice. A lot of it is really understated. We're also going to be forced to interact with the merchant here for a little bit. Astrid, do you want to talk about this lovely man?
Forced.
The merchant, or the Duke, as he is called in this game?
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up something about the Duke because it's something that further kind of roots this game and its influence from Resident Evil 4. Obviously, it's not the merchant, clearly, but it brings up this whole sort of this is a storefront. This is where you get weapons. This is where you can manage inventory. This is where you can do pretty much all the same things that the merchant can do in RE4 and everything. Mm-hmm. He's such an interesting character in relation to the plot because whereas the merchant in 4 just kind of, welcome. And you would and you would buy things from him and stuff, but he just remained in the background. The Duke here is actually invested in what's going on, talks to Ethan, informs him of...
How did you get in here?
I've never seen that happen before.
You said the thing?
I did.
Put that on your bingo card, everyone.
It surprised me so much.
I also have never seen that happen, so exciting times.
It's also it's
yeah,
very
the Duke
nice
is
that he keeps Gatorade in stock for Ethan.
Yes, he does. While we run around here, Peeps, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience? Get off of me.
Get off. Get away from here. Anyway, okay. Little update there for the Hat in Time Unlock That bonus game milestone. Currently at 88,475. We need 93,000. We are making excellent time. So let's keep up that momentum. I also want to tell you about the Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace. We need $6,000 for that. We are currently at 3921. And Natsuko has donated $25 and says, glad to see one of my favorite Resident Evil games run for a great cause. Less than 3.
Less than 3, indeed.
Less than 3.
Speaking of favorite Resident Evil games, something that me and BigScared have in common is that we both kind of grew up on the original series of Resident Evil games. They're really, really cool and important to us. And there's something about Resident Evil Village that is both, I think, in my opinion, you can say if it's yours as well, but I am reminded a lot of the classic games through this, but also it's so refreshingly different. It's like they're not trying to copy them. They're not trying to be related to any of the originals, but I feel it. I feel those same influences here.
So the tragedy of Ethan Winters to me stands as a love letter to horror. Not just like games, but cinema. So Resident Evil 7 is really, really inspired by movies, in particular things like Texas Chainsaw, Evil Dead, slasher films like Psycho and Halloween. Whereas this one is a love letter to like classic horror. You get monster homages. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's zombies, there's magic, there's transformation, there's body horror. And so in a way, referencing the franchise in itself is really poetic, but the way that they do it is so artful because, like you said, nothing is directly connected. It's all referenced. It's all felt. It's atmospheric. It's design choices. We'll see later on for the Heisenberg boss fight, a cliche of Resident Evil with like eyeball bosses. But the way they execute that is so different and unique that it doesn't even feel like an eyeball boss.
And honestly, this game is so nuanced in its connection with the other Resident Evil games that it isn't until the very end that we actually see that connection happen, because you could play 7 and 8 as their entire different things and not even have to be concerned with it. But if you have been following Resident Evil for the whole franchise and you get through 7 and go, okay, that was very different, and then get to Village right at the end, you go, oh, here it is. Here's the connection. But also, if you saw earlier in Flame Fatales, Fear was played. It is worth mentioning that Fear had a same writer on it as Resident Evil 7 did. So you can even see those kind of like influences from all like stock of like old school horror games from the early 2000s and 90s in this, because a lot of the people who were working on games at that time, pioneering the horror genre as we know it today in video games, worked to create this sort of like reboot of that franchise.
Yeah, and Resident Evil 7 in many ways is, at least for me, and there are folks that do agree with me, but I think there is some consensus as like a force for reviving the survival horror genre. Because in the wake of Resident Evil 6, like, horror games had taken a very action FPS sort of leaning, and this one really brought back to more atmospheric character development roots. This particular section pays homage to the playable teaser for Silent Hills, which it was intended to be Hideo Kojima's first-person Silent Hill movie game, and it had Norman Reedus slated to be in it. So you'll see a lot of those sort of devices used here as well. And of course, they hit different in first person. Third person, we're gonna have some interesting movement as we get in here. And this is also one of those areas where perspective really matters. You'll notice that I've walked up to a dummy. It has a bunch of different interaction points on it, and the hitboxes are radically different depending on where Ethan's camera is.
Wait, where's my gun?
So we're just gonna come over here. We're gonna grab a key out of the leg. There are 2 keys, a ring, a brass circle, a film strip, and an eyeball interactable on this doll, in addition to a couple ways that it can sidetrack you. And really all you need, if you already know this code, is I'm going the wrong way, is the winding box key. So while we do this little puzzle up here, is there anything you'd like to share with the chat?
Actually, Lucille has donated $50 and says, love the insightful commentary from BigScared and team, giving me a whole new appreciation of the game. And trans rights now. Yes.
Trans rights.
The yes was me. The yes was me. I was really excited about trans rights.
$100 rights.
Oh, sorry.
Trans rights.
Trans rights. $100 from Echo Parallax, who says, I've got an idea. Super Mario Odyssey, a word of the beast. That was my Mario impression. Mamma mia. And if you are confused, well, why should I donate to this World Peace upgrade incentive? All right, World Peace. Instead of just getting the minimum number of stars and leaving each area, Mario's got to fix the problems he created. So if we get to $6,000, which we are currently just over $4,000, so that means we are less than $2,000 away. So if you help us get there, there's gonna be more Super Mario Odyssey. And you love extra marathons, right? I know you two do, right?
Absolutely. More marathon means we get more opportunity to help out Malala Fund.
It's true.
So you might notice that I pulled a film strip out of that doll's mouth. This is a puzzle about our daughter, Rosemary. We are supposed to order the memories by a certain sequence. Her favorite thing, her favorite story, a memory of her parents, a symbol of dedication, etc. And then we get to look at this.
Yeah, you get to look at the Ring video from The Ring.
I promise you, you do not have a 7-day time limit. This is just ambience. Please do not panic, but there are going to be a couple quite scary moments coming up. So if you are, very, very
scared,
jump scare prone, it's a good time.
I heard you, SweetPeebs. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Do you want to mention the skip that can be done in here?
Yes, there is a skip that can be done in here. I will not be doing it today because it is not necessarily marathon safe. And in third-person mode, it is extremely hard to do. There is a window of 10 to 15 frames by which you can skip an interaction with an enemy known as Baby. As you can see, these hitboxes are incredibly punishing. They're so close together. We're about to take this plate and wake the baby. Now, chat, I promise you, this is an unpleasant baby. They're very grumpy. But you can skip the baby during a chase sequence with it. That will be coming out very shortly by abusing iframes around a particular door in the kitchen. I'll point it out when we get there. But instead, we're going to hide under the bed. But first, we do have to climb down the well. The spooky well that we saw.
Yeah. Not only baby, but grasshopper baby, as I have been taking to naming it as well.
It is very grasshopper-like. It reminds me of like a rotisserie chicken.
Okay.
No.
You'll see
fair.
what I mean when we get there. You'll see what I mean when we get there. It's very like...
I don't want to.
It's very like Boston Market shaped.
It's very Boston Oh, Big Scare, you have a way with words. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. As we can see, baby's very unhappy. You can see there are some maternal leavings on the floor.
No.
Don't step on them. Not because they make you slower, but because they make a really icky sound. And here comes the baby. I'm going to immediately turn around, and we are going to hang out over here by this door. At this point, you have your choice of sort of where you want to stand in this room. This is the least risky position, at least for me, because I like to play Dead by Daylight with this baby. I like to loop it. I like to hit him with some schmoves. And more importantly, I like to not get grabbed, because if you get grabbed by this baby, it will eat you. She's very hungry. Very rotisserie chicken looking, though.
It's got those grasshopper legs.
It does. So right now we have a breaker box key that we got from the well. We need to go to the elevator, and then we will cut through the film room, and then we will activate chase sequence. This, in a casual playthrough, is one of the most stressful parts of the game. At least it was for me. There is a VOD on my Twitch channel of the first time I played this, and you can literally see my heart fall out of my body. I was terrified. But now I'm just like, haha, there's the baby.
Which is very much the speed running sort of like thing about speed running horror games is sometimes the scariest parts become the least scariest parts, and you find a new scary part, which is that one really hard skip, and you just have it in your mind the whole game until you get there, and then you're like, I'm really scared about that one part.
So this
that
is the
has
door.
no horror.
To do the skip, you have to go in here, run immediately right back out, and then hide behind the door in the hallway while the baby is barreling down there. And if you get remotely within her grasp, she'll just grab you and eat you. So if you are a brave person, I encourage you to try the baby skip. It's very fun. It's very satisfying to nail. But again, for marathon safety, we're just going to hang out under here with our friend. Our very normal friend that is having a fine day.
Normal, innocent friend.
We're not afraid of our child at all. Not even a little. And again, references here. Not only does this segment reference PT, it references Outlast in that Ethan has no weaponry to defend himself. When Angie started this segment, when we ran up to her and we were like, what's this doll, and started interacting with it, she took our guns. She took our lightsaber. We have nothing but the shoes on our feet and the heart in our chest to get us through this.
I do have a $15 donation from Garlips who asks, do you think Ethan would go faster if he took his shoes off?
Ooh, that's a fantastic question. And I think that would only apply if he were at like a retreat of some kind where he was very relaxed. I don't know if this is the scenario to take your shoes off, but thank you so much.
I think that the shoes might be all that's holding the jelly that is Ethan's legs in.
Yes. You have to put the pate on something to give it substance, and the base of his shoes is that substance. Everyone say goodbye to baby. We're done with baby.
Bye, baby.
We will never see that thing again for the rest of the run. But we do have to play a game of hide and seek with a very special friend of mine. I adore Angie the doll. Her voice actor had such a great time And so I'm going to let you listen to her.
Try and find me.
Isn't that so good?
Try and find me. Try and find me.
She's going to do a laugh that just sends me... She'll be like... It's so good.
Fucking monster.
Don't stab my head.
So this is the RNG sequence. There are 3 times that you have to find Angie. We just did the first one. She will always appear upstairs first. From here, there are 2 more phases. Yeah, go ahead and explain.
She could spawn in one of the 4 positions around the house after that. 2 are in the same room, have more reliable RNG than the others on this patch. And then on the other one, she has 2 very, very reliable spawns, either in the elevator or...
She's at the elevator.
Just like that. The other possibility is in this one closet, but BigScared's too fast.
Too fast.
Too fast. Best speedrunner.
And there is an achievement for defeating Angie within, I want to say, 1 minute and 30 seconds. So if you are trying to achieve this task of a very fast hide and seek with Angie, it helps to know which room the 2 spawns are, because it's so reliable that she's going to pop up there in the second round. And then to know sort of what the likelihood from there is where she's going to go. You notice that I checked the yellow door closet spawn before going to the elevator. That's a time save. I'm hoping for optimal spawn on the 3rd place there, but we didn't get it for this. We did get optimal spawn for the 2nd position, which doesn't really mean much. It's like a 2-second difference. But Angie's done, which means Donna's done. We saw her there, and we are on our way to Sad Boy Town.
Oh, yay. That was the incorrect time to be drinking water. Let me make that clear.
While we ride the elevator, Peebs, is there anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I have a $15 donation from Fina2112. Nice Rush reference. Kick some serious butt, gamer. I'm holding your hand. And then an action. BigScared dab emote. And I am dabbing right now. We also have...
I love you, and I'm holding your hand. Thank you.
Do I have time for another one?
Yes.
All right. We have $50 from Nick O, who says, so you're telling me we can support a great cause, get more marathon, and achieve world peace for the low, low price of $6,000? Well, I'd be silly not to donate. And right now we are at $43.86. Let me get my handy calculator out. We only need $1,614 to upgrade the Super Mario Odyssey run later to the World Peace category. So get your donations
That's so
in.
close.
We're so close.
Thank you, thank you.
Everyone who's been donating, everyone who's been watching, everyone who's been participating in this event, and of course, all of the wonderful staff from the amazing hosts to the runners to the tech team and everyone involved. Everyone's been awesome this entire event. It's been so wonderful, and we've been just seeing how great all of this is, and it's all for an amazing cause. You fantastic individuals.
I also just want to really quick point out that Fina is not only my friend, not only my mod, she's someone we saw earlier in the marathon. She did her bonus run of Fear, and it was phenomenal. Astrid was on commentary for that. So if you want to see more fatales and more bonus runs, make sure that we get those incentives met as well. All that content, all those phenomenal gamers supporting gamers. We love to see it.
It was a very good run, too, because Fina knocked it out of the park. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We are running into the swamp now, which I like to refer as Sad Boy Town, because we have a very sad boy as our lord here. Moreau has suffered an unfortunate fate of not only being turned into a bioweapon, he got turned into a bioweapon that is inferior in many ways compared to his peers. He is dependent on water. He's physically the way he is. You'll see very soon. And he has an unfortunate upset stomach that if you are averse to that sort of thing, please brace for.
I also want to kind of point out that just the fact that if you're familiar with Resident Evil, basically every boss has the sort of thing of, oh no, I'm going to die, inject self with god juice. But then I became a god and I am undefeated. Now, of course, we just shoot them and they die. So there's that. But all the bosses, they wanted to turn into this. They wanted to become this great power. And Moreau is unique for the fact that he didn't get what he wanted. Yeah.
I would say all of the lords in this story are unique in that they don't necessarily want the gifts they are given. They are also victims in this situation. They are people who were hand-chosen by Mother Miranda to join her family with or without consent. Some are a little bit more enthusiastic about that. Dimitrescu loves being part of the family. She adores Mother Miranda. It might not necessarily be a maternal love, but there is definitely deep-seated feelings there, right? Donna loves being part of the family. She digs having powers. Moreau loves being part of the family. He didn't really get a good shake on it, though. And Heisenberg got fantastic powers, but he don't want to be there. And he'll tell us all about that when we get to his section of the game. So when you think about it, it's not just the tragedy of Ethan and his family. It's the tragedy that Ethan is the vehicle for uncovering. And that is a broader story of how people react to trauma, how people react to coercion and being manipulated and being put in circumstances that they're not quite ready for. Plus, we get to see a really cool fish. I hope you like cool fish. Because Moreau, we just saw him. He was a little guy, right? He was a little guy with a sticky belly. This is him.
I'm just a little boy.
That was perfectly timed with a giant fish going by. So I just imagine fish going by, comes out of the water gracefully, just emerging out like Free Willy, just going, I'm just a little guy.
Moreau's a little guy. He's a sad boy, but he has some of the best one-liners in the entire game. And so as we progress through here, feel free, if you know the words, to sing along, so to speak. He'll let us know how he feels. He'll let us know how he's doing. He will let us know how he wants Mother Miranda to think about him. And the entire time, he will just be exposing his fishy self to us by breaching the waves in such a fashion.
It's also got an annoying amount of, the damage that you do to him is kind of variable. Ideally, when you're shooting him, you want to shoot him in the head. And it can be, ideally, 3 shots, but it could also be 7 shots with this. And you really have no way of knowing which one it's going to be.
Yeah, when we get to his boss fight in a second, he's one of the most interesting from a design perspective, because on a casual playthrough, he is by far one of the hardest bosses to beat the first time through if you have none of your stuff. Did I miss that one? He has really high damage resistance. It'll take a long time to beat him. You'll have to use environmental hazards, exploding barrels, all of your different munitions. You'll probably be using the Wolfsbane Magnum. With the fully upgraded stake, you can just shoot him in the head a couple times, and he is one of the fastest boss fights in the entire game. It's still one of those things where, are you going to get the good Moreau RNG or the bad Moreau RNG? Is it going to be 3 shots or is it going to be 6 or 7? And a lot of that is dictated by how aggressive Ethan's auto-target is. Because when Ethan is auto-targeting, he will aim for the part that is the big body and not the little body inside. And you'll see what I mean in just a second when we get there. But first, he's got something to say. I was waiting for Peebs to do something.
Oh, sorry. Do it again, do it again, do it again.
Okay, we got one here.
I'm the best! I wish my mother loved me! Do you want to go to Dave and Buster's with me, Ethan?
Would you like to play foosball?
I love foosball and skee-ball.
So we are coming up on a little segment that I lovingly refer to as boat times. Because even in a game without boat horror, they still somehow worked in boat horror. We are going to unearth a boat from the water here and be chased on it for a very brief moment.
It's Resident Evil inspired by Resident Evil 4. You have to have a little bit of boat horror.
Mm-hmm. This really feels like a nod to the other boat segments. 4 has a boat segment, 5 has boat segments, 6 has a boat segment, Revelations has boat segments. So, like, it made so much sense for them to put just a morsel of that here, too. But the real reason we're here is for the windmills. I know, plot twist. You come to the swamp for windmill? Yes. Specifically, we're here to crank the windmill. We have to touch this ladder. I don't know why it's required to touch the ladder before you crank, but it is. And we're going to crank this windmill to get it in position. And then we are going to run over to the other windmill and crank that one as well.
Ethan just has to make sure that the safety ladder is there.
Yes.
Just so that, you know.
Okay, OSHA on our butts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we got to be work safe. Ethan might not be forklift certified, but he sure is OSHA compliant.
Ethan has also helped us get to $89,000.
We're so close!
Which means we are less than $4,000 away from that A Hat in Time unlock.
We are
Amazing.
so close.
Amazing chat. You're doing
Rob.
incredible.
I really want to see A Hat in Time.
I've got a little puzzle here. If there are donations you'd like to read, now's a good time for 2 or 3 of them.
Do you want, I won't do the impression. $75 from Lotus, who says, "This has been my favorite run of the week. Really appreciate the commentary and retrospective on one of my favorite series that I too have been following from the beginning, when I was probably too young to be playing these games." And I just peeked over to the challenges. We are less than 1,500. That's right, less than 1,500 toward, before, wow, words. We're less than $1,500 away from meeting that Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace Incentive. And remember the World Peace Incentive, you know, instead of just letting Mario go on his merry way, he has to fix the little oopsie doodles and such that he broke in every world. So, if you want more marathon,
7 shots.
Of course it was. It's a marathon.
I wanted more marathons, so I had the bad RNG.
My precious RNG.
I love it.
I'm sad that we're leaving the area if it means that there will be less Moreau impressions.
oh, don't worry, I've got something cooking.
Oh, I am
okay.
intrigued by this.
And now,
So now
you're
we're just
on
making
to,
our way back. Yeah.
Yeah, you're and.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm really excited because you're getting into the Stronghold, which is I think a really really cool. Like you mentioned before, how they're vampires, werewolves, zombies. This is like some really really cool sort of like werewolf stuff coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and
Frankenstein.
that too.
Mm-hmm.
which Big Scared will definitely 100% totally agree with me is the best part of the game. So, you know, we're excited to see that too.
You know, I agree to disagree with you on that, but I see where you're coming from. Heisenberg's Stronghold is a fascinating area from like a lore standpoint, because not only does it unveil, like, that's where you get the lore dump about Miranda taking them and this not being a consensual process of them becoming empowered. That's where we get the information about Heisenberg's plan for rebellion. He's not necessarily evil, but his means by which he solves problems are not what the good guys would do. He's got a very Joker aesthetic to his personality. Like, not to his, like, design, but to his personality. Like, he is a wild card through and through. He's ultra charismatic, and some of the best, like, storytelling is done in his section. I don't particularly care for it because it is dark, it is labyrinthian, and on your first playthrough, you will probably be lost in there for multiple hours.
See, everything that Big Scare just described is like everything that I look for in a survival horror game, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, the diversity of this game is fantastic. They've got a little bit of something for everyone. And I think it's really fitting that the final sort of area before we get into what I like to call boss rush territory, right? Like go mode for the end of the game starts with Chris of Duty. But the section before that is really an homage to like the horrors of man and what are we capable of? What would you do to achieve the means by which you seek your goals? And Heisenberg is very literally like, I'm going to make a metal army and you can't stop me.
Heisenberg is literally just a combination of Frankenstein's army and Magneto from the X-Men.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, the basically Heisenberg and his whole section in the Stronghold was actually so close to Frankenstein's army. There was a little bit of legal trouble that occurred between the similarities of design, specifically between one of the enemies that you will see later that looks like a big airplane propeller.
Yeah, the Sturm boss is a really inspired piece. This game does what a lot of survival horror games do, and it takes homage from things that it loves. That particular one is very, very close if you're familiar with the reference that is being potentially made there. I can't say whether or not it's intentional or not. But it's following in the tradition, right? Like, if you think about classic survival horror, the key example here where I want to point to is like Silent Hill 2, which draws a lot from Jacob's Ladder. Like, the whole franchise draws from Jacob's Ladder, but it's very, very strong in that game. This one, we get a lot more nods to like Universal monsters.
Indeed.
And also Saw.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village really just kind of combines as we've been saying, the whole homage to horror in general, from your 1930s Frankenstein, Dracula productions by Universal Pictures. You also have, like you said, in the newer things, like the James Wan sort of Blumhouse era of filmmaking when it comes to Saw. And also, we've also mentioned how the Donna Bienviento section, that whole thing with the dolls and avoiding the baby and everything, it is so inspired from PT. It really is just a love letter to horror films and horror gaming entirely.
We're coming up on a mini boss here.
Big boy.
This particular fellow you might recognize from the beginning of the game. We did not actually dispatch him before. He's back. This is Urias.
This is twin brother.
He's a big boy. He's going to come down here. He's going to do the roar a couple times. And if we time our shots correctly, he will not summon friends. My goal here is to shoot him enough times that he gets mad enough to come down here and face me directly, but not so often that he doesn't move at all. And this is going to be a quick cycle. And then we shoot him one time and he's done.
Good job.
Thank you.
Rip.
That can go poorly.
It can go very poorly.
You did it very, very well. That was BigScared. You're so good at games.
Wow. Takes one to know one.
No, you.
So, I just picked up an object. For those of you who are not familiar with the lore, now's a good time for us to talk about what is actually going on with Rose. Rose was a very cute baby that we saw at the beginning of the game. But when Chris took her, he was not necessarily successful in keeping her. So she got kidnapped again by Mother Miranda and turned into crystals. Yes, crystals. And so those yellow jars with the crystal inside that we've been collecting are the pieces of our daughter. We are going to assemble her like the Dragon Balls. We're going to summon Rose back from the ether using the power of mold, bioweapons, and sheer audacity. And right now we're on our way to go do that thing. We have to take the 4 pieces of her, the legs, the arms, the torso, and the head, and we have to install them in the giant chalice, which we will then take to a different location, and it will grant us access to Heisenberg's factory.
If you get Rose in your Yu-Gi-Oh deck, basically nothing can stop you. If you have all pieces.
Yeah, it's not Exodia. It's Rose Winters that you need to summon. And
Yes.
the best part about this is she has fewer pieces than Exodia.
That's true. Really kind of OP if you think about it.
Nope, we're not going to do that.
I just want to take a moment to let everybody know that we are less than $1,400 away from that Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace. That is actually next. Fant is setting up right now, you know. Y'all want to get these donations in lickety-split because the Super Mario Odyssey run is right up next.
It's so close, I can taste it. Now's also a good time for anything else you'd like to share. We got about a minute.
All right, well, Clarinet Hero has donated $100 and says, I would very much like to see Fant achieve world peace. Trans rights, less than 3. That's right, trans rights.
Less than 3.
Less than 3. We also have $20 from JPEG who says, BigScared, I would jump in a bottomless hole with you any day. Yay for the best dad cosplay.
Thank you, Jay. Simple gamer. I see the hole, I jump in the hole.
Whee! And
We
we've
got time
got
for one or
$25.
two more?
All right, $25 from Duher, who did not leave a comment, but they also donated towards that upgrade to Super Mario Odyssey, upgrade to World Peace category. $5 from Ishirin Ryuka, who says, do cat crime, get a hat in time. World peace won't even have to rhyme or cost an extra dime. And that's right. You can just donate towards the A Hat in Time unlock. We're currently sitting at 89,335 and we need 93,000. You don't have to select anything special for that one, but to help us get to that world peace upgrade for Super Mario Odyssey right up next, right after this game, you will have to click that little incentive button on the donate page and select the incentive.
Ethan Winters.
Welcome.
I didn't think you'd make it past
I'm just... Oh, go ahead.
Welcome, Ethan Winters.
Now, it's not
It's so good.
It's not good. I'm trying to speak like I have marbles in my mouth.
You know, it is interesting that we remark on Heisenberg's accent here because this game takes place in Eastern Europe, and he sounds like a ye oldie radio guy from the mid-Atlantic in the 20s. His voice actor is so good, but every time I'm like, sir, are you in the right place?
Yes.
Okay, so we are being chased by our propeller friend. We'll get a good view of him later on when we're forced to confront him, but for now we simply run away. Again, we are going to demonstrate Ethan's incredible abilities. Right now, we're getting a testimonial to his durability and his inability to take fall damage, which for a survival horror protag is very unique.
Something that's really interesting about, and it's a good time to bring it up, is how, like, you've noticed back at the castle, his hand getting cut off, just poured some Gatorade on there and it's fine. To how much damage he takes getting, losing fingers, getting pushed around, kind of getting ragdolled by things, getting hit, and they all look serious. And on one hand, you can kind of wave it off because, it's Resident Evil. It's a video game. That's what happens in them. But the fact that they draw so much attention to it, even with that, even with fall damage, they do a great job of putting it into your mind of like, okay, how is Ethan able to survive this? And it's not an accident.
No, not at all. And it's very intentional why those are the scenes that you cannot skip. Capcom is directly pointing to Ethan as a question. So if we had watched the cutscenes at the very start of the game, we would know that before all of this happened, they were running tests on their daughter, Rosalie, to see if she had still been infected. Because in Resident Evil 7, Mia was very infected with mold. She was a optional boss fight that you can get depending on your choices in the run. And you have to fight her a couple times otherwise. So at this point, Ethan knows that there's something going on with Mia, and he's worried about it affecting his daughter, Rosalie, as well. But he never stops to question if he should worry about himself. And at no point does Mia ever stop and tell him, maybe you should ask about yourself too. And so the ultimate reality here is that Ethan has had special abilities since Resident Evil 7. He too is a bioweapon. He just doesn't know it yet. He will, of course, get the rude reality check at the end of this segment.
That was a good way to get out of that situation you were in, by the way. Good job.
Thank you. I love the rocket pistol. It's not necessarily the highest DPS weapon, but it is extremely effective at stunning mobs of enemies. It can remove armor from enemies, which is very, very important for later on in this section. You'll see why. And it can also navigate the door solutions here, where you have to otherwise shoot the light bulbs off the doors. You can also use it here to shoot these light bulbs. And I mentioned earlier that Resident Evil in particular is known for like shoot the eyeball puzzles. These are our interpretations of that. Because Heisenberg is creating monsters, his entire factory is treated as if it's alive. It's sentient. It has eyes that you can disrupt, and it will hurt you, whether or not any of the enemies do.
And then, of course, if you're big scared, you just run past them anyways, and because you're great at the game. You know.
We do schmoove. Okay, so you've noticed that I've been picking up some items to generate molds. Not mold in the, like, it's growing on my walls kind of way, but, like, molds as in I'm going to create things, I need to pour a substance into them. Generally, these are going to be key items, but there are some exceptions here. On a casual playthrough, you'll notice that there is a variety of, like, puzzles where you have to move a ball down a ramp. These are very tricky, and there is a mold for the ball for this factory, and it's very, very easy to skip. Are you still up? You're still up! What the what? Get out of here.
Rude individual.
Take a nap.
Get out of here. So while we insert this Krog, is there anything you'd like to share with chat?
Well, Zokaboon donated $25 and asks, Professor Big, could you go over the part with the little dad guy one more time? Thanks for the master class. The little dad guy. Thanks for the master class in horror culture and helping us bring about world peace. And guess what? Oh, I should have had my calculator out. Guess what? We are so close to the World Peace Incentive, which again has to be met before the start of the Super Mario Odyssey run by Fant. We are sitting at $1,214 away from that incentive being met. So please, you do not have a lot of time. Please help us meet that incentive and make the marathon longer.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen.
She locked us away in the village.
Do I have time for one more?
Yes, we do.
All right, Lanaya Kea donates $5 and says, one of my favorite lines is, didn't you think it was weird? Less than 3.
We got time for one more, too.
All right.
I'm not lightweight.
Chaos Peach donates $25 and says, more fatales, count me in. Let's get to that incentive. Much love to the runners, hosts, volunteers, and tech team. Oh, and trans rights too. Less than 3. Keep those trans rights donations coming. Let's go.
Trans rights.
Trans rights.
Let's go, trans right.
Vamos.
Are the fruits of my
Here's our second encounter with Propellerman.
strong will destroy the
We're just going to run away from him. He's unfortunately very slow, which is only unfortunate for him, really, because Ethan here is schmovin'. I'm going to call the elevator up, not because I want to get inside of it, but because it will save me time later on when I will have to get inside of it. If you summon the elevator to this floor, it cuts the amount of time you have to stand there and wait on the 3rd floor in half.
Speedruns are so fun. There's things that you sometimes don't even think about.
On a casual playthrough, this area is really cool because this is our mine segment. They're doing it in an unconventional way. It is embedded into the factory. But if you explore this little section of caverns, there are a wide variety of treasures you can find. Crystals, bullets, special ammunition, little tchotchkes that you can sell at the Duke's vending shop. All of these add up, and on a new game or a casual playthrough, they will make a huge difference in your ability to upgrade your weapons. But since this is New Game Plus, we're just going to walk by and we're going to shoot the ceiling in all of its little light bulbs.
BigScared says that it's really cool and casual. It's also just amazing, and you know, it's like the best section of the game. It's so cool.
I'm going to try to run past these dudes without them smacking me too much. This is tricky because there is one more light bulb I need to blow up when I get closer to it. And they will, as you can see, get in the way. We're going to have to fight this one. But I shot him in the light bulb and we're good. Our last grenade there. And if we're lucky, we won't have to fight the other one. He is going to jump scare us, so brace yourself. Yep, there it is. Can you climb? Ethan!
Uh-oh.
Rude.
Very rude.
Don't body block me. This is not Dead by Daylight.
The audacity.
The
audacity.
Mm-hmm.
The humanity. The monstrosity of man. All of it on display here in Heisenberg's factory. Now, I mentioned there was a mold you can miss. It's behind this cart. I did not know this for my first 3 playthroughs of the game. I was like, where is that mold? It's there behind the cart. Now, this is stressful on your first playthrough because you're literally being sucked into the vents, but on a speedrun, it's what you want. You wait as long as possible, you shoot the thing, and then Ethan will get up and display his beautiful newborn giraffe legs for all of us to see and enjoy.
Shit. That was close.
He is running towards that $93,000 as fast as he can, because we are just over $1,000 left in that Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace incentive. And we're also very, very close to the 93,000 a hat in time unlock for that bonus game. More marathon.
I believe. We are so close. There's plenty of time left in this run for us to get there, so keep those donations rolling.
Like, can I read a donation? Or are you telling me?
Yes.
All right.
We have an elevator here.
All right. $50 from an Onyx mouse.
with your rub.
This marathon's lease must increase. Excuse me. Let me start over.
It's all over.
It's a limerick. This marathon's length must increase. All this waiting to donate must cease. With these goals to be chased, there is no time to waste. Let us work to obtain world peace.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Very beautiful.
Poor Papa. You're the only one who
And we have $5 from Liza, who says,
Take Rose.
"Wah, Waluigi, number one. Did you donate just to get me to do that impression? Because I will." And we also have $100 from Estrella. First time donating after transitioning, I decided to donate a large amount to make up for not being able to make up for not being able to years earlier. Estrella, thank you so much for your generous donation. And just everyone remember, every dollar counts. It's $5 goes a long way. So nobody feel sad that they can't donate, share the marathon. Tell your friends.
Even a $1 donation is significant.
Well, it is a $5 minimum. It is a $5 minimum donation. But
The more we know,
also-
$5 counts.
Also, congratulations, too.
Yes,
And
congratulations.
That's incredible. Amazing. You're wonderful. I know we just said it, but I don't think anyone will mind if we say it again. Trans rights.
Trans rights.
All right, we've got another armored enemy in the way. We had to come down here to make one last mold that we need for the final key to get through Heisenberg's factory. I have, on many speedruns, gotten all the way down here and realized that I didn't pick up the mold. So this is one that I'm really proud to have done in a marathon setting correctly. Here we are, waiting for our key. And while we're here, I'm going to try to give you a little peek of Ethan's face. Since we are here, we're going to get the glimpse we can. Look at him.
Yeah.
Beautiful, artful rendering.
I do love
I've already forgotten what he
Ethan's
looks like.
determination to be like, no, not my face.
Yeah. And
Look
if you
at my hands.
there's a story DLC for the Winter's expansion of this game where you play as Rose, and there is a scene with Ethan, and you still don't get to see his face. Just the commitment to the bit is so good for me. Get out of my way.
Well, these soldiers are incredibly rude to you, and I am so
Yeah.
sorry that they are.
They know we're here.
putting you through this grief through the best part of the game.
Well, that one cooperated really easily.
That's true. That was a real friend.
While we hang out in this elevator, we've got about a minute or so for donations if there's anything you'd like to share.
I've got a few donations here. Phones has donated $25 saying, loving this horror genre commentary. And actually, guess what? We are less than $1,000 away from that Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace incentive, where Mario will fix all the little problems he created in all the little worlds instead of just going to the next one. So again, we are less than $1,000 away from that,
You really are.
and we are very, very close to that run. So please get those donations in.
All right, this is Helicopter Man. We are simply going to shoot him with our one flash grenade. We're going to shoot him in the exhaust 3 times, and that's the fight.
Good job.
On
Excellent.
casual,
Great job, Ethan.
on a casual or first playthrough, that boss will require you to use the grenade launcher, which is not an optimal weapon. It's very effective to take that particular enemy down, but it is not fast. And of course, Ethan here is going to operate heavy machinery even though he's not certified. Chat, do not do as he does. He's just got to find his daughter so quickly. I think at this point, it's a good time to unpack sort of the role of Chris in this game.
Absolutely.
And also in the franchise.
Yeah, Chris Redfield is one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise, and he's there in the original game. And he's always been there fighting bioweapons and has been moving with conviction to try to remove them from the world, to try to do everything that he can to like rid the world of this terrible, terrible sort of thing that Umbrella created, and all these other agencies, terror groups, and everything they've been trying to do to harness the power of these bioweapons to basically do their own nefarious schemes. Chris Redfield, in this game in particular, is quite different compared to the other games for the most part. He spends time in the background, hanging out, but shady, real mysterious. Seems to have some kind of agenda in the background until it's revealed that he's here fighting bioweapons, and he is on Ethan's side more than Ethan could ever have realized.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the game, there is a cutscene that we skipped where Chris Redfield takes Rose into his custody. What we do not get at that point in the story is that he's doing it for her own safety. He realizes that Mother Miranda wants her and knows of her existence, and also knows that she is a bioweapon. And so he tries to undo a lot of the damage of this game preemptively, but it does not necessarily go the way that he plans. Now, you might notice I am fighting a Transformer here. This is Heisenberg. He has gone through a radical transformation because he's mad that we don't want to help him using our daughter as a bioweapon. And we are going to very quickly dispatch him using a tank that Chris made for us. So while we finish this out, if there's anything you'd like to share, now's a good time.
All right, well, Dolphin Chucks has donated $40 to say, Chris took Rose because he's gotten too old to punch boulders and needs to raise a replacement for him.
Perfect timing that Heisenberg just said the line about how he references Chris Redfield's boulder punching tendency.
I waited. I also want to bring up, we are less than $200 away from $90,000.
Let's go! Let's make it happen.
Amazing.
So long, Ethan Winters.
And at this point in the game, I'm always asking myself, what would the alternate reality look like if Ethan, Chris, and Heisenberg teamed up to bring down Miranda together? Because that is a story I am constantly thinking about. This is not the story we're gonna get, of course. It comes down to Ethan and Chris because, you know, Heisenberg's done here. But the implications here that, like, the villains are not necessarily your enemy. Like, it's a quote-unquote villain, but they're not necessarily someone that's opposed to you. They just have different goals. And so I think Heisenberg, even though he's not a good character, is really human, and he's so endearing to me for that reason. So, unfortunately...
By the way, Ethan dies.
Yeah.
Can I get some abs
We've confirmed the death of Ethan Winters. In a cutscene, he encountered Miranda and tried to debate with her. And debate doesn't work very well when you are an omnipotent person with a singular goal that is opposed to the person trying to debate with you. So we get to play as Chris for a while Ethan is on ice.
Something that if you have been following the story of Resident Evil through... It is a little interesting thing here how Chris Redfield is, you know, originally signs up with the BSAA to take out bioweapons, and it's his whole conviction. And then you find out through this he's working with Umbrella to do that and has kind of forsaken the BSAA. As a matter of fact, condemns them even later in part of the story. So... And even right now, they're talking about how they're like, oh, I can't believe the BSAA is here. So there's a lot of interesting story and character development for Chris Redfield that is so opposed to the way that he was in the original series. And I really appreciate Village for taking this character and with all the development that has happened with him in previous games, whether it was people liked the direction or whether people liked the way that it was done or the way that it was portrayed, Chris in this is like the inevitable next step from that. And he's such an interesting character. And normally, old Chris, he would have just been on Ethan's side from the get-go as far as like been very open, been very probably straightforward with what's going on. And in this, he's more dark and mysterious. And also this kind of like tactical squad leader individual is a very interesting development for him.
June also is very super interesting. We hit $90,000! $90,000! Thank you all so much for your generous donations. And Axton has donated $5 to say, just to prove that $5 makes a difference, let's start a $5 hype train. Shout out to BigScared and her excellent speedrun, and their excellent speedrun of RE8.
Axton, what a thrill. Thank you so much.
Reloading now. Just a minute.
So you might notice that Chris here has a space laser. This is a very obvious throwback to Resident Evil 5 when Chris and Sheva are on the boat and they have to fight Excella as an Ouroboros monster. We bring it back the space laser, and I personally was floored when I saw the space laser come back.
Same.
I was like, are you serious? We get another one of these moments? And yes. So here we have to hit the Mutamycete with 3 targeted attacks. If we at any point get interrupted while using the targeting system, Chris will be disrupted and it will extend the sequence. This part's a little tricky because I want to save this barrel and it almost always blows up early for me. So we're going to see if we can get it here. Did I save it? It saved it! All right, perfect. Let me by. Let me by. Sir, your breath is bad.
That's my Wolfman impression.
SweetPeebs, I just want to say that you're an incredible, wonderful host.
Oh my gosh, thank you so. Listen, I'm only as incredible as the runner in the couch. All right.
We're all pretty incredible, so that does track.
But do you know who is the most incredible? That's right, Malala Fund. Do I have a little moment to
Please do.
All
Tell
right.
us about it.
Malala Fund is working for a world where every girl can learn and lead. They believe local educators and activists are best suited to address the problems girls face in their communities. Malala Fund invests in their work and collective power to create change, hold leaders accountable, and give girls the tools they need to advocate for themselves. From supporting STEM education for young women in Pakistan to creating safe learning spaces for girls in northern Nigeria, your gift today is an investment in Malala Fund programs that directly benefit girls.
So what we're doing here, this is our final sort of mini boss. This is Sirius Strayer. Yes, Chris did absolutely block that mace with his arm. He's an absolute Chad for that. My goal here is to take down this boss without using the space laser. It saves time on the animations later on, and so if I can down them using just the weapons in my pocket, it will save us a little bit of time. Ooh, you're mad. It knows we're here on Flame Fatales.
Yeah.
It's putting on a show for you.
More marathon.
All right, and we're free. That's Chris of Duty. We just got a little bit of walking with him. So if there's anything you'd like to share. Yeah, no jelly legs on Chris. He's too strong.
Unfortunately, no jelly legs. We have a $200 donation from Library Nerd who says, less than 3. We also have $50 from Dara S, who says, trans rights, less than 3.
Dara!
And
Dara, you're amazing and loved. Thank you so much.
And guess what? We are less than $500 away from that Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace. And oh, come on, it's getting close, it's getting close. Let's go, everyone. We are so close, less than $500 away to get a longer game, longer marathon.
We didn't expect Miranda to act so soon.
Just like what Alien Crustacean says, for $50, I think it is only right to follow a Resident Evil run with a World Peace run. Come on, everyone.
This must be Miranda's lab.
So this room is the most important one in the game. Astrid, do you want to talk about what you can find in here?
Every single thing that relates it to the whole franchise from before, like all the games from before. That room connects it back to Resident Evil 1, back to Resident Evil Code Veronica, back to all the stories that we got of the origins of what makes Resident Evil, what makes the franchise what it is. The whole thing with the going back to the T virus originally, going back to the G virus and things like that, and Oswald Spencer and the Ashford family, all of that. It shows that it all goes back to this incident with the Mutamycete and how the reasons that this was formed, how Oswald Spencer went off to go do plotting some world domination on his own, and Ashford kind of had like the same idea to do something similar. But what did Mother Miranda want to do?
Revive her daughter, Ava.
Indeed.
That room provides a whole new origin point for the entire canon. It dictates that this is the woman responsible for everything. The reason why Oswald Spencer had the progenitor, Miranda. The reason why T-Virus exists, Miranda. The reason why Evelyn was created in 7, Miranda. Evelyn was literally a prototype for the revival of her daughter. And we just got a quick cycle. Time will be whenever we hit the cutscene at the end of this. This is going phenomenally. And while we ramp up here, I just want to thank everyone at Frame Fatales for having me. I want to thank my stream team, the Clock Tower, for supporting me. I want to thank the Lady Arcaders for pushing me to submit. I want to thank Astrid for being on my couch. I want to thank Peeps for being a phenomenal post. And I want to thank everyone here that donated to make the third-person incentive and cosplay incentives a thing. I almost restart. That's time.
GG's, BigScared.
Oh my goodness, GG's. Wow.
GG's. The father story is now done. Our in-game time is 1:41:57, which is a minute off of my personal best. Thank you so much for being here. Astrid, where can we find you?
I'm Astrid the Horror Girl. I stream here on Twitch. I play horror games and I speedrun horror games, and I love horror and talking about it. Thank you so much for having me, BigScared. Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Thank you
and
for
thank
being
you to the
here.
Flame Fatales for having me as well.
Thank you, thank you. For those of you who are curious where to find me, I'm on Twitch as BigScared, and in most other places as either BigScared or I'm BigScared. So I would love to see you around my neck of the woods. Thank you again for having me.
And thank you so much again for that absolutely incredible Resident Evil Village third-person glitchless New Game Plus run. Now, everyone, I gotta tell you, we are less than $200 away from that Super Mario Odyssey upgrade to World Peace. And if you're just joining us, that Odyssey upgrade to World Peace will get us. So Fant will fix all the problems old Bowser made in every world. They'll fix it, you know? So if you want more marathon, if you want a longer Super Mario Odyssey, please, we are less than $2,000, excuse me, wow, $200 away from getting that met. But for now, I'd like everyone to stick around and watch the interview with Fant right now.